Hello, and welcome to this eSchool News webcast. My name's Andrew Barber. I'm a senior contributing editor here at eSchool News, and I'll be acting as the moderator for today's webinar, which is sponsored by Agile Education Marketing. And over the next hour, we're going to dive into a discussion about how to clean up your data and turn them into valuable insights and opportunities. Before we get started, though, I do want to take a few moments to highlight a couple of items about the console that we are using today. First, we are recording the event. So in a couple of days, we'll send you an email that will include a link to the recorded event, and you'll also be able to download a PDF of the presentation from that same email. And second, please ask questions. Don't feel as if you have to wait until the end. At any point during the presentation, if you have a question, just type it into the Q&A box on your console and hit the submit button. And I think we're probably going to have about 10 or 15 minutes at the end of our presentation when our speakers can address your questions. We also have a chat function. If you look down at the bottom of your screen at the black toolbar, there is a blue group chat icon down there. Please use chat to talk among yourselves or to contact me or the eSchool News team if you have technical issues or any other concerns. But I do have one favor to ask. Please don't use the chat to ask our panelists questions. They're going to be too busy with their presentations to be monitoring those chats. So if you have a question for them, please use the Q&A panel instead. And with that out of the way, let me introduce you to our guest today. Mike LeClare is the Compilation and Data Quality Manager at Agile, overseeing all specialized data initiatives at the company. And his focus is on compiling complex educator information, instituting quality control processes, ensure high data accuracy and reliability. And Mike and his team often work closely with state departments and districts to compile specialized information sets. And our other speaker is Katie Evans, who is a manager of database services at Agile. And in her role, Katie is responsible for getting databases clean and then finding meaning in the data. Cleaning up data includes record deduplication, file cleansing, merge, purge, data appends, and data enhancement. And once that's done, she digs into the data to really understand opportunities, gain insights, and strategize creative solutions for clients' marketing needs. Welcome, Mike and Katie. It's a real pleasure to have you here today. Mike, why don't you get us started?
Well, thanks for that introduction, Andrew. Like Andrew said, I'm the Data Compilation and Quality Manager here at Agile. And next 20 minutes or so for my section, I'm going to be talking about how we deal with data on our side and big data and at the micro and macro level for you guys. So data is kind of my thing, and we'll jump right in. So it's important to realize that 97% of U.S. companies turn to data for direction, which makes sense. 90% of these U.S. companies, they have some sort of data quality solution in place. But the tricky part is the IT execs that run all that say that data consistency is one of their biggest roadblocks to getting full value from their data. And I can tell you right now that data quality and proper implementation directly relates to company success, however you want to measure success. So let's look into some of the bad data that's out there. According to Experian, data goes bad at the contacts. The other one. The contacts in CRMs go bad about 7.6% per quarter. That adds up to a little bit over 30% a year. And those inaccuracies only get worse if you don't get them off your file. The education universe that we live in, it's no different. We see over a 30% churn in personnel every year, and that's not even touching on the personnel roles that have an even bigger churn. The volume, by 2025, it's estimated there's going to be 163 billion terabytes of data, and that's according to a Forbes article where they cite some IDC information. It's getting large and bigger all the time. And it's important to realize that if there's big chunks of that data that is wrong, it's going to have a domino effect on everything, and it's going to affect your bottom line. And that's where we get into the financials. As of right now, they estimate that bad data is a $3 trillion loss for U.S. companies. And that's because people have incorrect, inconsistent, fraudulent, or redundant data in your systems. So we've kind of looked at the big picture. Let's dig in on kind of the micro level now. There's really two ways to look at how bad data affects your company. And you kind of have the employee impact, the productivity, and that's kind of the emotional aspect where you waste your energy, you could be wrong messaging, craft the wrong sort of message, miss the mark, and that affects morale at the company level. On the financial side, we talked about that $3 trillion number, but according to information governance expert Larry English, he estimates that at the business, it's 10 to 25% of revenue. If you could get 10 to 25% more revenue simply by cleaning your data, who wouldn't want to take advantage of that? So what we're going to do now is we're going to look into cases where we've had clients have to deal with data or not updating data to kind of give a personal side to these two ways to look at bad data effects. We're going to look at the employee level, how a strategy failure really hurt them, and then we're going to look at the financial level where they had some wasted resources. So with the first client, they kind of put all their eggs into one basket. They were focusing on a single data point, which I think is always kind of dangerous. The way I look at data is it's kind of a mosaic, and if you're focusing on one data point, you're looking at one little tile and you're not looking at the big picture. It's important to look at the big picture, and what this company did is they focused on one piece of information. They focused on the technology aspect that we had broken up into high, medium, low. It was actually a combination of over 10 different technology-related data points. And what they did is they took this data and they started their presentation. They really dug in and they said, we're going to focus on a school with a low technology data point. They had a good strategy. They wanted to point out how the school could benefit from having high-speed internet and how they could have the iPads in every classroom. And they spent time, emails, meetings, the creative behind it, and they really committed themselves on this project. Everybody was on the same page. They were proud of it. They were ready to go. They had the confidence. Come the day of the meeting, they went to the school. They met with the principal. They went on a tour of the school, and the principal proudly pointed out that, hey, look at all this, the iPads. We have iPads in every single room, and we have the high-speed internet to take care of this. That destroyed their presentation. They had spent all that time, and everything that they were going to point out was already there. It was pretty much meaningless at that point. The emotional side, they were frustrated, angry, defeated. They had completely wasted their time and energy. Another really important aspect was they lost their credibility at the client level and even within their own organization. They had wasted too many resources and they had missed the point because they misunderstood the data and they didn't have it updated. Because on our side, the high, medium, low had actually increased significantly. And if they had just updated their data or understood what goes into it, they could have seen all these other flags on why this might not be the one they wanted to go after. Bottom line, they were uninformed. Now, we talked about that $3 trillion number, that 10 to 25% that you're losing. The next story really focuses on a financial aspect that would have been very easy to rectify very quickly if they had proper data governance in place. For this client, they're having a lot of turnover within their personnel, sales, marketing, IT. They were going through a lot of different people. And what they lost in all that was their data governance. They weren't properly applying the updates to their CRM, and it had a domino effect throughout their business. Towards the end of the year, they came to us with their concerns, and they had about $70,000 in kickbacks. And they were a little frustrated with that, quite understandably. So they gave us the data to review, and a really quick review on our side, we saw that out of about 1 million personnel they were concerned about, 90% were already inactivated on our side throughout that year. If they had just applied those, they could have saved $63,000 almost instantly. So what happened, since they didn't update throughout the year, or even the entire year, they were repeatedly sending direct mail to inactivated personnel, they were compounding their mistakes and their loss of revenue. The tricky part with this is you don't just instantly make everything better. It took a lot of reactionary measures, which goes back to the emotional aspect also, to make sure they got back to where they wanted to be. It was a collective effort. Everything got back to where it needed to be, but it took time and energy and money to get where they needed to. Once they got everything, they were in a great place. Almost immediately, they saw the efficiency increase in their sales, and everything was good. But again, it was a year worth of loss that they had to deal with just by not updating their CRM. So for the next part, I'd love your guys' help with this. I'm curious how you guys currently manage your data. Take a look real quick with the 4 different options. You know, is it an in-house data administrator, outsourced data vendor, in-house team updates, or no data management, or you're not really sure? Take a second or two to answer that. I don't have any Jeopardy music, but we could play that if we wanted to. So, and there we go. So you have in-house data administrator and in-house team updates. As long as you have an idea of what you're doing and you have some processes in place, that's a really good place to start. What I want to do is I want to tell you what we do on our side to make sure we're compiling and presenting the most current and up-to-date data for you guys. So for us, it really comes down to 2 different aspects. We need to collect the data, and then we need to get it out and make it actionable for everybody. So when we dig into the data, we have a team of nearly 100 people going in, making 800,000 phone calls a year. Those people in that team, we're also looking at 100,000 different websites. And this isn't a crawler. This isn't anything like that. This is a team going out and verifying rosters and information. The other part that we do, we review over 1,400 different data files to compile our complete database. And it takes time, and it takes knowledge. And we need to make sure that you have an understanding that when you're collecting, you're making sure you present that information in the right way. When we normalize the data, this is about knowing what you're looking at. Data points change, they evolve. What could have been a very simple yes-no data point could have evolved into multiple selects. You have to know what you're looking at, and if there isn't an understanding there, you have to make sure you know where to go. Case in point, we're currently in our school performance update, where we go out to every state and we collect school performance data. In Texas, they had a file for 8th grade proficiency scores. There was over 3,000 columns worth of data. We had to find 2 to grab the information we needed to. And that's not uncommon. There's a lot of data out there. We have the knowledge on our side to make sure we're getting the actionable data, the one that you can craft a message around. So once we get it, we need to normalize it. We need to manage it. We need to make sure it's where it needs to be. For us on our side, you have to make sure you have a process in place when you're hitting this. It needs to be documented. It needs to be repeatable. It needs to be evolving or living. Data isn't stagnant. Your processes shouldn't be either. And when we do this, we're able to show how many institutions are changing in a year, names, phone numbers, if they're open or closed, domain changes, email changes. And because we have these processes in place, we're constantly seeing these new data points being updated, or even new roles at the personnel level. So when we're doing all this, it affects our universe, our data set. We have over 350,000 institutions. For those institutions, they carry over 650 data points. This is why we review 1,400 files to get you those data points, why we make over 800,000 phone calls to make sure we're getting you the right information, in particular the personnel. We have over 6 million active personnel on file and over 8 million different personnel roles. All this is constantly evolving and changing. Just for personnel, we see over a 30% churn every year, which is incredibly consistent with just data in general. And like I said earlier, the education universe is no different. We also see over 1 million new roles quarterly. And again, if you're not updating weekly, monthly, you're missing out on these updates and you're working with outdated data. And as hopefully you've seen, it's just not an option you want to go down. So we've really talked about the bad data, how it affects at an employee level and financial level, gave you guys a couple stories and showed you how we did it. What I want to do now is I want to turn this over to Katie, and she's going to show you guys how to help keep your data clean.
Thanks, Mike. I'm really excited to be here today. While I've been part of the Agile team for 9 years, this is my very first webinar. Mike has shared with us some common mistakes, and as Eleanor Roosevelt said, we should learn from the mistakes of others, since we can't live long enough to make them all ourselves. During my time here at Agile, I have worked with thousands of customer data sets, and one of the most common mistakes I see is poor data governance. Data governance is important for all companies, and the education market space is no different. There are a couple different ways to set this up within your organization. Many companies have a data governance committee that's responsible for establishing data definitions, policies, and documentation. The other option available is to define a process and have someone or a team responsible for researching the validity of the data prior to adding it to your CRM or marketing automation system. So what do I mean by data governance? I mean, get your data accurate and up to date. Develop a process to regularly identify inaccurate data. Create a set of rules to be applied consistently to aged data, inaccurate and inactive data. And lastly, integrate additional data sources to enhance your data and improve performance. So today I'm talking about 3 elements of data management. First, how to get started. Where do you even begin on a task that seems so impossible? Second, maintain your data. This is an ongoing process. And lastly, you need to continue to enhance your strategy. Agile currently has over 650 data elements, and we are adding new ones all the time. Many of our clients come to us complaining about the quality of their internal data. They have been unable to effectively utilize the data for this reason. Something that always comes up during these conversations is duplicate data. Duplicate data is a waste of time, money, and energy. It is an option to set up duplicate detection in your CRM or marketing automation system. Some systems have this built in, others will require an external application. Agile's Connect link for Salesforce can be a great tool for merging existing duplicates and preventing future duplicates from being created. The education industry has a unique problem when it comes to duplicate data. The problem is that so many schools and even district names aren't unique. For example, there are 226 Washington elementary schools and 289 Lincoln elementary schools in the United States. It is important to use a deduplication tool that takes this into account. Could you imagine if you accidentally merged all the Washington elementary schools into one record? Next, determine your company's needs. This often involves multiple departments coming together to determine what is useful to each. Your marketing department needs specific data elements to segment marketing lists. The sales department needs a more holistic view of their customers or leads, and senior management need to be able to roll up the data for reporting and analysis. Keep in mind that your needs can and will change over time. And lastly, augment your existing data. This includes adding new records, removing outdated records, and updating records with the latest data. We'll cover this in a little more detail later. So in order to help you get started, Agile can help format and normalize your existing data. An example of this includes having the state name appended to the account name field. So it would say Boulder Valley School District - Colorado. Agile can separate the name and the state into two different fields, allowing for better reporting and easier searching. Next, we can connect your data and the Agile database by running a match. This will enable you to augment your existing data. Coming back to data governance, Agile can assist you in establishing update rules. Without rules, you'll quickly fall behind and run into a problem with outdated and unusable data. Lastly, Agile can then provide you with clean, up-to-date records that you load back into your CRM or marketing automation system, and it'll feel like a fresh start. Once you're up and running with a clean data set, it is important to keep up with it. Continue to update, add, and remove outdated data. Remember, as Mike mentioned, there's nearly 8% turnover every quarter. Well-maintained data also allows for senior management reporting and sales planning. We have had clients come to us specifically because their senior management was unable to roll up the data for reporting and analysis. Our hierarchy can make this task much easier. Your data won't maintain itself. It is important to establish an update schedule, whether you use one of our CRM or marketing automation integrations, flat files, or a custom API allowing continuous access to updates. We launched ConnectLink for Salesforce several years ago to help our clients maintain their CRM data with a click of a button. We are excited that we have expanded this capability to marketing automation systems such as Marketo, HubSpot, and coming soon, Eloqua. These integrations will absolutely make your life easier. And lastly, I want to talk a little bit about enhancing your strategy. You can use Agile's 650+ data elements to help narrow the data to your target market. This allows your budget to go further. Additionally, it will improve your email marketing engagement. This is essential because the latest Microsoft and Google email delivery algorithms are tied directly to engagement. Lastly, you can use these data elements to know more about your clients and their needs. This allows your sales reps to be more knowledgeable when contacting leads. It can also allow your marketing team to target messages to the right people, boosting your campaign results. Thanks so much for your time today. Mike is going to jump back in and talk about some of Agile's custom data solutions.
Thanks, Katie. So, as Katie talked about, having proper data governance is really, really important to ensure you're getting the most current and up-to-date data. It's important that you have a strong base, and that's what all this does for you. If you have a strong institution base, if you spend the time and energy making sure you have the right districts, the right schools, then you can properly apply the right personnel. And if you can apply the right personnel, then you can make sure you're reaching out to the right people. For us, we have a lot of custom data solutions. I'm going to touch on 5 of them real quickly for you. But again, if you have a strong base, you have the right personnel, you're going in with a targeted message, that's going to help connect with any customer or client. So first off, our EdIntel tool, it's a great tool. It helps give sales and marketing teams powerful indication of products and methodologies at a district level. It shows what they've implemented or what they're interested in the future. We have a lot of different categories that this can cover. It covers assessment, communication systems, device instructional methodologies, interactive technologies, learning solutions, LMS, SIS, teaching tools, technology platforms, stuff like that. And what it does is it really dives in and shows you what is popular, what they're talking about at that district level. Enalysis, what it does is it helps provide detailed and personalized analytical results on your campaign performances. Where are you really hitting the target? Where are you missing the target? Are you hitting the elementary schools the way you want to and missing the mark on the middle schools? Enalysis really breaks down that information for you and shows you what is landing where. School and student performance data. This takes a lot of heavy lifting on Agile side. It's about a 2-month process where we go to every single state and we collect both school and student level performance data. What that means for you is if you want to see how the school's doing, we collect that state-specific metric of how the state defines how they're doing. If you want to see how the students are doing at the school level, we collect proficiency levels, both at the grade level, when they start testing in 3rd grade, all the way up through high school. Or if you want to see how the school overall is doing in their specific subject, language, math, science, we can show you that as well. As I said, it's a lot of heavy lifting, but it provides real actionable data and makes sure you can craft the message. Do you have a product that really focuses on students that are struggling in math? Great, you can craft your message that way. If you're looking for classes where they have high AP enrollment, well, great, you can turn your message and make sure that you're addressing that high level of AP and make sure you're saying, hey, this data will make sure they reach even higher marks. Another one we do is E-Rate, and this is pretty new. What E-Rate does is it provides comprehensive information on Internet access service type, fiber, Ethernet, DSL, speed, and internal connection coverage, wired versus wireless. It's so you know the IT needs of your client and their IT capabilities. If I need something where I'm using a lot of bandwidth, maybe some sort of video conferencing, and I'm talking to a rural school, they might not even be able to handle my product. I shouldn't spend energy reaching out to them. That's what our E-Rate data does. And lastly, social. We offer true targeted one-on-one messaging to more social media platforms than anybody else in the industry. We make sure it's true targeted social media, so you never have to worry if you're reaching the proper audience or not. And again, these are just some of Agile's custom data solutions. You can always jump into the data and look for other areas that you want to focus on, whether it's high enrollment, whether it's high Title I. We can help you. We're subject matter experts, and that's what we're here to do. So we've gone through the different data challenges and how to make sure you guys have clean data from our side. So with all that, I'm going to turn it back to Andrew and see if there's any questions. Andrew?
Yeah, sorry. I had committed the cardinal sin of putting myself on mute. Thank you, Mike, and thanks, Katie, for an excellent presentation. We still have plenty of time left, and we do have some questions that have come in from the audience. For those of you who have still got some questions, please feel free to just use the Q&A panel on the console. Just type your question in there and hit submit, and we'll see how many questions we can get through. But first of all, Mike and Katie, why don't we take a question that came in from Elisa, who asks whether you integrate with Copper, which is formerly ProsperWorks, and or Outreach.io.
Yeah, I can take that. We currently don't integrate with Copper or Outreach.
Okay. All right.
However, sorry, Andrew, I was just going to add to that. We are adding integrations one at a time at this point. As I mentioned, LeClare is up next, and then based on our customer needs, we'll continue to add from there.
Okay. All right, great. Thank you. Another question that came in from someone, a company that helps students, that produce a product that helps students pass AP exams. And the question is, how can they reach those classrooms that would be a good fit? Mike, do you want to take that first, and then maybe Katie?
Yeah, I'll definitely take that one. Where that comes into play is, making sure you're reaching out to the right school with our student performance data. And you can reach out to a specific teacher. You can look for different performance marks as far as proficiency, either at the high school level or at the actual grade level within the high school. We also have AP-specific titles for our personnel. So between all that, you're able to dig in and really target that message to exactly who you want to reach using the different metrics we have available here.
Okay. All right. Katie, do you have anything to add to that, or should we move on to the next question?
I think Mike really covered that well.
Okay. All right. Great. Another question. During the presentation, you talked about the very high costs that come from using old data, and someone's asked a very compelling question: is how do you know? How do you find out if their team is using old data? Do you have sort of certain benchmarks that you can use? How do you dig into that and find out if they're using old data?
Yeah, that's a really good question. My recommendation would be to have Agile do a match for you, and we can let you know how many of your accounts or contacts are active or inactive. We can also let you know what data is out of date, so whether the email address domain has changed or the school name has changed, things like that. We can tell all that from running a match.
Okay. All right. Great. Thank you. And then another question that has come in from a sales manager who is wondering about whether he could create a target list for his sales reps.
Yeah, absolutely. That's one of our specialties here with our 650 plus data elements. We're able to really target our list to specifically what you need, and that can include by sales rep. If one sales rep has certain needs and another has different needs, we can certainly accommodate that. We also have a tool, Data Explorer, where you're able to go in as a user and build out lists for your sales reps.
Great. And just to follow up on that, when let's say as a sales manager I wanted to create this target list for my reps, is that something which I can pull automatically from the data sets? Do I consult with you on how to do that? I mean, how does that all play out?
Well, it could go either way. If you're using Data Explorer, you're able to pull that on your side, or if you pull our data through one of our integrations, you can pull that in your own CRM with reporting. Or you can always work with our sales and account managers here are always happy to run custom files for you based on your needs.
Okay, great. Thank you. Another question just came in. At the end, Mike, you made reference to the your social tool, and someone wanted to know, he missed how it works. So you explained he wants to, does he access your platform to make a social post to reach the audience? Can you explain a little bit further how the social tool works?
Well, currently we have a digital marketing expert that works with our clients for all social marketing. And right now, he would be able to see the social platform and work with you to change your strategy based on results and things like that. But he works really closely one-on-one with our clients for social.
Okay. All right.
And with the social marketing, we do use our data to directly target through social. We don't spray out to a lot of people. It's very targeted.
Thank you very much. And one other question. We have got, looks like we've got 2 or 3 questions left, which is the question about how can, this person's asked, how can I connect my company with the educators that are the best fit for our product? Or how can Agile connect my company with the educators that are the best fit for our product?
Well, on our side, what we can do is we can really, everybody's different with who they want to reach out and the message they want to send out there. So what we want to do is we want to make sure we understand your business. And that's our account manager and our sales team talking to you. From there, what we do is we make sure we craft the right sort of group that we want you to go after, the right sort of segment, whether it's high-performing schools, low-performing schools. Again, we have a lot of different metrics to choose from, and we have a lot of different options for you. One of the tools we also use is eProfile.
And with eProfile, it can help determine who your best customers are, and you can market to similar market to customer or institutions or personnel with similar
characteristics.
Yeah, similar characteristics.
And then you can follow it up with the analysis, making sure you're hitting who you want to hit.
Absolutely.
Okay. All right. Thank you for clarifying that. Another question is, someone's saying, if we're looking to find our ideal customer profile, what are the best solutions? Of the ones that you went through, what are the best solutions, and how would they use that information?
Yeah, we touched on that a little bit with the last question. The e-profile is going to help you with exactly what you want there. With our e-profiles, we match your in-house data, and then we compare it to the Agile universe, allowing you to see, based off revenue, what your best customers look like, whether they're high Title I or low technology index, things like that. And we're able to walk you through our e-profile tool to target other institutions with similar characteristics.
All right, great. Well, it looks as if I haven't seen any more questions come in from the audience, so if you do have a question, you best pull the trigger very quickly. Otherwise, we're going to probably wrap up a little early and let people get back to their work. So, I really do want to thank Mike LeClare and Katie Evans again for really a tremendous presentation today. And I'd also like to thank Agile Education Marketing for its support. Before we all go our separate ways, let me just remind everyone that we will be sending out an email to everyone who attended when the recording of the webinar is ready. But other than that, I think that, thank you again to all, and I hope you all have a wonderful day. Thank you, and this concludes today's webinar. Goodbye.